All right, so sticking with the NFL, we're gonna talk about some way too early, baby. Fresh off Super Bowl 56. We just seen with the Cincinnati Bengals the road they took to get here. We just seen the road that the Los Angeles Rams took to get here. So naturally, we will bring up those two teams, but I guess we want to focus on some of the teams that didn't make it to the Super Bowl this year that we think would should be there or could be there going into next year. So with that said, Jay, who you got? Who you got on both
I
sides of
think,
the
yeah, I
league?
think I was just starting off with these two teams. I think we had to pick a team who would be back. If you're picking, would it be Rams or Bengals? I think the Rams would be much more likely. The Bengals obviously are talented. They were. I've described them as being opportunistic to get here. I thought they should have went home in the divisional round, but look, Ryan Tannehill, proved that he is not that dude. And then the Chiefs just shut it down after about three drives in the AFC title game. So that's what you have. But when you look in the AFC, when you look at Kansas City not going anywhere. We know how the Chiefs. It's been tough. Look, you've had 4 seasons of Patrick Mahomes, who looks like he's on his way to being one of the all-time greats at minimum. But you've seen how hard it is for them to win Super Bowls. I brought up the point of comparing them to the all the success the Patriots have had. 4 years of Mahomes, you got one ring, but needless to say, they're going to be there, in the postseason, fighting for it. I think what we've seen from Buffalo, depending on how the transition goes with Brian Dable leaving for another job. As long as the next guy comes in there and can keep the line moving, and Joe Brady comes in there and he adds a little bit of his magic dust in there that he lost in Carolina. The Bills are going to be right back in there. I think those two teams at minimum I would have coming to the Super Bowl before Cincinnati. You also got to think of I'm looking at a team like Baltimore. Baltimore was just killed all season by injuries. You got to think they're going to be back, but it is going to depend on Lamar Jackson. How can he get to the point where he is more consistent from the pocket? We know about his athleticism and his ability to put people on skates and just make defenses look silly in the open field. We get all that. But what you've seen is teams have been able to scheme up a little bit more, really focusing on that running game, keep him in the pocket, and make him throw the ball consistently. And we haven't seen him be able to do enough to get it done. He had a really good, early on in the season, they were just winning every game by 3 points or less. He was just making it magic at the very end of games. Didn't translate the whole season. When they are at full strength, and DaCosta, Harbaugh, that's a real good GM coach in tandem. That what you'd like to see for Baltimore, even if Lamar can't take that real big next step, they still should be better because at full strength, they're still going to be a team to be reckoned with. Outside of that, I think the development of Mac Jones that'll determine, if New England's a serious contender. Can Brandon Staley get the Chargers defense, up to snuff to match that explosiveness that they have with Justin Herbert and all those weapons? Those are the teams that come to mind in the AFC. I think at minimum, I put the Bengals at probably the third team that you look at in the AFC next year. I definitely got the Chiefs and the Bills. I think those are the two teams I look at in the AFC over Cincinnati. The Rams, you probably give them about as a good as chance as any if they can keep some of these pieces together. Von Miller's going to be hitting back in the free agency. Odell, what does his recovery look like, and will he be coming back? The Rams, they went for the gusto. As we've said, they went all in on this season. So how much are you able to bring back to make another run at it? I think that remains to be seen. But I think as far as other teams that'll be competing with them, if Aaron Rodgers comes back to Green Bay, which I'm reading a few things here and there that seem like the relationship with the front office and all that is in a pretty good spot. Got some alarm going off in here. I guess the homeowners will take care of that. I'm an occupant at this point, but look, Green Bay should be in the mix if Aaron Rodgers. I saw no signs of him slowing down this year. If he stays, that means Devontae Adams stays in all likelihood. And then that defense was tremendous this year under was it Joe Barry? That they were outstanding this season. Sure, they can keep that together. And they got great 1-2 punch in the backfield with Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. So I think as long as Aaron Rodgers stays in place, they will be back. Outside of that, I don't think, look, Tom Brady retired. So I think we can punt the Buccaneers on out of here, unless something, crazy happens and they get the quarterback position solidified quick, fast, in a hurry. You can go ahead and get them out of here for right now. Dallas. I mean, yes, I guess you have to throw Dallas in there because they got as much talent in the world as anybody. But I don't know, man. Something about this coaching staff, this Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, three-headed monster. That's just all the rave. And you got all the talent. You got Dak Prescott out here with Zeke and Pollard and Cooper and Lamb and Gallup and Dalton Schultz, for crying out loud. And then you go over the other side. And you got Micah Parsons. You got Diggs with all the interceptions. You got DeMarcus Lawrence. You got Randy Gregory. He's out here actually playing at a pretty good clip for once. And yet I'm just not believing. I think San Francisco, you look at how they performed this year, but they're kind of, what's the quarterback situation for them like? I think at this moment, when I look at the NFC, I think I'm looking at Green Bay. If I had to pick a team right now for next year, I'm looking at Green Bay. I think the Rams are right there with them. I think that most other teams really have really significant question marks, kind of almost like, when you look at teams like Tampa Bay and the 49ers, they have a New Orleans type feel to them that the Saints did last year when Drew Brees retired. So we saw how difficult it was for New Orleans. Maybe if Jameis Winston stays healthy, it's a different story, but I still don't think the Saints would have been, what they were with Drew Brees right away. So there's a lot of question marks. Of course, we don't know, what team who's kind of in the gutter right now may rise up real quick, kind of like Cincinnati did this year. So of course that remains to be seen. But as of right now, if I had to narrow it down to 4, I'd say you have Kansas City and Buffalo in the AFC, and then the Rams and Packers in the NFC.
And you got who in the Super Bowl?
Oh, if I had to pick out of them, we'll stay with Kansas City and Green Bay.
Kansas City and Green Bay, very well. You know what? I start where you left off. I am out on Green Bay until they show me they could beat the 49ers in a postseason game. I'm done with Green Bay. They do all this miraculous stuff every season. Oh, number 1 seed, back MVP. Oh, yeah, Green Bay, this is their year, baby. And then the 49ers come to Wisconsin and beat you in your what?
So real quick, just into their defense real quick, because I get where you're coming from. The one thing I'd say about the most recent loss to the 49ers is that was not a result of them being out physical. That was a result of them not being able to get one punt off. If that punt doesn't get blocked, I think I know it, they win that game. That wasn't like a couple years ago where they just got blasted because they were soft.
True enough. But we spent at least 2 to 3 shows saying, hey, Green Bay get that home field advantage. It's going to be, you're going to have a tough time. I don't think nobody else home field advantage matter as much. Green Bay get it. Okay, cool. Then Green Bay got it. Okay, oh, man, San Francisco got it. I mean, 49ers got to come from, the nice Silicon Valley. Come on down, get you some of this blizzard type weather going on. And you still lose. Like, honestly, I'm almost thinking the 49ers living rent-free in the Green Bay head. That's what I'm starting to think here. Either way, I do agree. They did not get out physical. They look like they deserve to be there, but the result is the result. Can you beat San Francisco in the postseason? Because it's looking a little ugly. It's looking a little one-sided as of late. Now, Kansas City, my problem, I think Kansas City has what they need to make it to the Super Bowl. It's just, I think after last year, I am starting to wonder, have people kind of figured this out now? Because I just felt like we just seen the Bengals secondary. I wasn't impressed. Even like I would, if Odell Beckham doesn't get hurt, I just think the Rams chew that secondary up. They just chew them up and spit them out. You telling me right now, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, DeMarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, Miko Hardman. Then you got Edwards-Helaire, you got Darrell Williams. Like, you don't got enough to make it happen against the Bengals secondary. That secondary we just seen in the Super Bowl.
So what about the idea? And this goes back to something we said early in the season, I think, when Kansas City was struggling. Out of all those names you mentioned, after you get past Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman's really fast, but besides that, none of those guys are really striking fear in the heart of defenses. It's not like a set, I get on Sammy Watkins a lot, but he's still like when he was with Kansas City and like what burned Richard Sherman in that Super Bowl and all that, he was still a elite talent.
Right.
They don't have the supplementary pieces like that, I think.
Hey man, who got the ball in that last drive for the Rams? Give me who only 2 players got the ball through to them in that last drive. Cooper Kupp and Hollins. He caught 2 passes, I think. So I'm sorry, I get the talent disparity here, but if the Rams can make it happen with Hollins and Cooper Kupp on the drive, I gotta believe, hey Patrick, you gotta be able to make it happen with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. The talent drop off is significant after Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. No arguments with that. But if Mahomes is what we say Mahomes is, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce is what we think they are, what are we doing? What are we talking about right now?
Yeah, I agree in totality. I think the way they finished that game against Cincinnati and just went radio silence after those 3 touchdown drives, I thought it was pretty pathetic still, when you have Mahomes, when you have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, queue up everything, your drunk drawer. That should be enough to get out there and make it happen.
Right. So I'm a little bullish on Kansas City right now, even though I do agree with you that Kansas City will probably be one of the 2 participants in the AFC Championship game. But unless Brian Daboll going to the Giants is as big as what some people think, I really think the AFC is the Bills' conference to win. I really think that. Because after what I've seen this offseason, listen, these boys ready to win. However, they did just lose a very key part of their offense with the offense coordinator. So like you said, we got to see how this maturates in the next season and see if they can keep that momentum going. But if they look anything like they looked in the postseason this year, I think they'll win. So to fast forward this, I'm going to have, if the Bills stay within reason, I'm going to have them as the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. If they don't, I can understand people saying Kansas City. A team I am thinking about that disappointed us a lot this year, but I think can come back now as an underdog, a sleeper, however you look at it, is the Indianapolis Colts. I think they was very disappointed by not making the playoffs this year. I don't know what they was drinking. I don't know what was going on there, but it wasn't focused. They wasn't focused. I think if Frank Wright can sell that to his team this offseason and say, listen, we should have been in this position, but we wasn't because we didn't finish the deal. With Jonathan Taylor, with the confidence he probably have as the rush champion, he was the rush champion by like over 400 yards. It wasn't even close. With the confidence he developed, and if you can get Carson Wentz to kind of now come along in year 2 as the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, you already know what you got on defense. Maybe you get a weapon, just another wide receiver to throw out there. I think the Colts really have a chance of being in the AFC Championship game. I really do. Because, like I say, and that's my dark horse, by the way, for the AFC, is the Indianapolis Colts. I think Kansas City right now just feels to me just like either A, they're bored with what they're doing, or B, people starting to figure out. but it's starting. Something about them is kind of stale now. I don't know quite what I can put my finger on, but they starting to look a little stale and stagnant. And we keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, rightfully so, because they earned it. But I don't know, man. Like I think Kansas City is starting to wear out their welcome as far as being a perennial championship level team.
One,
So
one note on the Colts. I don't know if you've seen some of the reports on Carson Wentz. I'm not sure. I think there's some question as to whether he'll be back next year.
be back. You're right, right. I did see that. I did see that. That's why I say I hope Frank Wright can. It would be a gamble on his behalf, but like I look at it like this: if you do let Carson Wentz go, you going with Jacob Eason? You don't think Carson Wentz take you farther than Jacob Eason? Are you Are you going to draft a quarterback? Or you don't think Carson Wentz going to take you farther than whoever you draft? So I'm like, extend him for a year. See what he gives you. Bring him back. Let him be confident to know, okay, they bring me back for another year. My second year in the program. Let me do what I need to do. I think that can work for the Colts. You don't got to sign them to nothing crazy. I think that could work for the Colts.
I agree. And what I think may have happened there is that may have just been the utter just stench of that Week 17. Just that was so horrible the way they finished the season. That may be a little bit of Jim Irsay, just like the whiplash of that game. Just like, oh man, get this dude out of here. Like, let's actually pump the brakes here, Jim. I would bring Wentz back. And also a thing to consider about Wentz and the Colts, I think that's a sneaky pick. And I really like the Colts heading into Week 17. I thought they were, the team cliche, but the team nobody wants to play. Right. The way they played at the line of scrimmage with Jonathan Taylor, but also we don't say this often enough. Carson Wentz, where the weapons at, man? What you actually been giving this dude besides Jonathan Taylor? Exactly. I like Michael Pittman, but I'm not sure he's a one in this league yet. T.Y. Hilton, man, we might need to bring out the curtains for this dude. Just not the same. Who else we got out here? We got, what's his name? Zach Pascal.
Right.
What is that? Like your tight ends are Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox. I mean, Mo Alley Cox went to the same college as this dude in here. So, I don't know what this is. So, but look, in Carson Wentz's defense, I know that Week 17 performance was dreadful. Bring the dude back. Give him a little bit more to work with. Maybe the dude ain't never going to be back to the MVP status that he was, or the candidate he was in that Super Bowl season for Philadelphia when he tore his knee up against the Rams. But he still got something, and you could still do with the free, unless you can trade for a big name. I think that's the only way. The free agent class of quarterback, it ain't never good because those guys are always signed up. And I'm telling you, and we'll get into it a little bit more as the draft approaches. I don't want nothing to do with this crop of quarterbacks. I'm sorry.
So to talk about a few other teams like that you laid out, the New Englands of the world, the Chargers of the world, the Ravens. I mean, even dare I say maybe the Steelers might I don't know, defense wise, I guess, but. Teams like that, the Tennessee Titans of the world, like teams that have the ability to do something, but you just don't trust them. All those teams are relevant, I think, and you brought up a lot of those teams. But for my money, the AFC Championship, I think, be the Colts and the Bills, and depending on how they figure that out. If I pick right now, I'm gonna say the Colts. Remember, I'm gonna say the Colts gonna bring back Carson Wentz. They're gonna mess around, be in the Super Bowl. And then, I'm doing that. It's way too early, and I'm doing that. Over to the NFC. I already gave you a list. The Packers, I'm sorry. I'm packing them up until further notice. I'm sorry. I just, listen, you get every opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, in my opinion, and you don't take it. I'm sorry. The team... Remember when we was talking about Green Bay? I said I thought this was the most complete Green Bay team, and I thought Green Bay was the most complete team in the NFC in general. It was not many holes in Green Bay. Yeah, even when you talked about the wide receiver thing, it was kind of like, you know what? it does kind of suck that Devontae Adams is like 3 to 6 miles better than the next option there. But Aaron Rodgers is making this happen. So is it really that bad? Because they're used to playing this way and it's working, right? So, I mean, yeah, would you like to see another star? But they're making it work, no big deal. But they had everything else going for them. The offensive line, the defensive line, the running game, the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, I just home field advantage. What else do you need? Like, okay, maybe your coach a little young. Okay, I give you that. Maybe you got a baby at coach. Got that. But still, man, I don't know, man. Green Bay really let me down. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm a little like meh on Green Bay, right? With that said, I think this year, for the Super Bowl, for the NFC Championship game, I hear what the Rams is pretty interesting because here's the thing. Even if Odell leaves, they get Robert Woods back. So it's kind of like,
yep.
Okay, like we go back to the team we had, which we was winning with this team. Let's make no mistake, we was winning when we had Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods and Van Jefferson. That we got the job done, right? So I think if he decides to leave, I think they'll be all right there. As much as having Von Miller on the team helped them in the Super Bowl, I think you mentioned this, that he was a luxury guy, right? Like you had pass rushing. Then you went out and got another pass rusher. And listen, you use every bit of them. If he decides to retire or leave or go wherever, I think you still okay in that arena. You still bring Jalen Ramsey back. We'll see what happens with Aaron Donald. Would they have to shed some weight? Yeah, they would. But I think a lot of guys, like, for example, like Andrew Whitworth, for example, the left tackle, he's probably going to retire. He's pretty old.
Yeah.
He got his ring. He's probably going to retire. So you might have to figure out something else. I think they bring back enough pieces where it's realistic to say we can see the Rams again. Also, to your point of the contenders that we had that we probably won't see, Tampa Bay. Yeah, that road probably gone. But a team, I honestly think, my dark horse again for the NFC, and I told you I like this chess match. I think the 49ers will once again either be in the NFC Championship game or they'll make it to the Super Bowl. Why do I say that? It's just something about Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Now, Sean McVay done crossed the hump now. So now I can see Kyle Shanahan be like, all right, it's time to get to the lab and make this happen. And I'm going to tell you, if they get a few more plays out of Jimmy Garoppolo, they could have very well been in the Super Bowl this year. Trey Lance might be the answer. He might not. I don't know. We'll see. But they drafted him for a reason. We'll see how they go. But I honestly, and the reason I believe in the 49ers is for the same reason I believe in the Colts, right? That the overall team was built in a way that I just think they overachieved in the playoffs, but when you actually look at how the team is broken down, they're a pretty good team. You look at both sides of the trenches. I mean, we know what their defensive line look like. Offensive line is pretty, probably middle of the pack, but they're not bad. We see what they do with the run game. They're just plucking out running backs that's doing their thing, right? Debo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. I mean, it don't blow you away at the beginning of the season, but it damn sure blow you away now after you've seen them play. You're like, that's not a bad little trio right there, right? So then when you go over to the defense side of the ball, the Fred Warners of the world, the Bosa's of the world, the Jimmy Wards of the world, like the makeup of that team is kind of championship ready when you think about it. They might need a piece or two, but that's why, just like the Colts, they might not like ended the season well enough to make you think, oh, they'll be back. But those are the teams that usually sneak up on you, kind of like Cincinnati did this year, right? They sneak up on you and you're kind of like, all right then. So I think the 49ers will be back without shuffling. Another team I actually thought about was Dallas. But listen, it's been a while since I ate Popeye's biscuits, so I don't feel like choking. So I'm telling you right now, it's very hard. it's very hard for me to trust the Cowboys because they just out here they just choke a lot. Like they really do choke a lot. But I do think they got a good team that's capable of like winning when when they drinking water and eating bread at the same time. So with that said, I think as I look at the landscape of everything, I'm gonna run it back. Bump it. I'm just gonna run it back. Rams 49ers, but this time the 49ers get the better of the Rams. They're in the Super Bowl. So there it is, folks. My Super Bowl, the Indianapolis Colts versus the San Francisco 49ers. And at that point, I would probably have the Indianapolis Colts actually winning the Super Bowl and holding up the Lombardi Trophy.